Welcome everyone to Enlightened World Network for a day of transformation. I'm Deb Goldberg, your host, and we've had a little bit of difficulty, so we are recording all of our wonderful sessions, and we'll put them on Facebook after. And today I have MarBeth Dunn with me, and later on we'll be bringing on Harrison Klein. So right now, MarBeth, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Deb. I just really appreciate you and Ruth and Terry and everything that you're doing to uplift the world. I really applaud you and appreciate you. And since this is a day of transformation, let's talk a little bit about what transformation we're looking at. And for me, I see an awakening on the planet. I see a shift in humanity. And for me, transformation is the evolvement of humanity into a magnificent self, what Bruce Lipton called homo luminous, illuminated being. And so how do we get there? I'm going to touch on 7 keys, and then I will combine everything and unite it in a meditation so that we can anchor what these 7 keys are. And I want to start with safety first. These times have been very stressful for everyone. And they've been so stressful for everyone. And so what do we do? The first key will be safety first. We need to feel that we're safe. Now, our root chakras govern safety. And when we can bring our awareness into our root chakra, and in the root chakra, recognize that we are safe. And how do we do this? So put your hands in your lap and bring your awareness into the base of your spine and forward. Area underneath your hands, and just notice what's happening there. Just expand into that area, bringing your awareness there. You can close your eyes and just imagine that there's a beautiful cloud of love just sitting there. It's all pink. It's all very fuzzy and soft. And just imagine that and see it expanding, feel it expanding. And while it's expanding and you are bringing your awareness there, say to yourself, I am safe. I am safe. And you can expand it out quite a bit larger. Our root chakra is the base of all of our main 7 chakras, and it's important that it acts as a base. So many of us light workers, we go into our hearts and up, but we don't go down. And this is the base. This is what all the other chakras rest on. So it's really important that we stay safe. So when you focus on the root, you bring your awareness here, and you tell yourself, I'm safe. I am safe. And just send love there. Just feel that love just filling you up. Just bask in that love and just notice what it's like to have a very strong base. And you can also say, I am strong and I'm resilient and I'm safe. Good. So now, if you should feel a lack of safety, you know what to do. You bring your awareness into this beautiful energy vortex, the base of your spine and forward, and you just let it expand with love and remind yourself that you are safe. So that's the first key. Very important. We can't really do anything else if you're not feeling safe, because this is very primary. The next key is to remember to choose peace. Every minute, every instant, we have a choice. We can choose peace, or we can just be on default, which could be stress, it could be fear. We don't want to be there. We can choose to be peaceful in every moment. So when the news comes up on your phone and it's something that triggers something about the C virus, then you can choose to say, you know, I'm not going to look at this right now. You can choose to put on some soothing music. You can choose to go out in nature. You can choose to do something that makes you feel good. Maybe, you know, if you're an artist, you want to paint. If you're a writer, you want to write. You can meditate. Do something that makes you feel peaceful. Always reach for what's going to make you feel more peaceful. So important. And just remember, we don't have to subject ourselves to anything that makes us stressed. You don't have to. You always have a choice. Choose peace. And then we want to relinquish any judgment we have about a situation, because the truth is we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't really know what's going on with another person. And half the time we don't know what's going on with ourselves. So we need to relinquish judgment. I like to just ask Spirit, decide for me. Spirit has a spirit's eye view, and I don't need to be making my judgment on a situation that, you know, chances are I know what it is, but maybe I don't. So I just kind of sit back and let Spirit judge for me. And then I don't have to worry about it. I know that I'm in divine hands and everything flows really easily. And I think it's also really important to release the past. And there are a lot of ways of doing that. Forgiveness is key. We need to forgive ourselves first, and then let go of anything from the past that could be stressful. We want to stay basically in the present moment. And how do we do that? Well, we go right into our body and we can center with our breath. And when you tune into your breath, and you can just inhale very slowly to a count of 4 and hold it for a count of 4 and release it for a count of 4. And just notice what happens in your body during that breath. And keep breathing and noticing what's going on in your body. And then also, when you go out in nature, tune into your senses. What am I experiencing right now? Is there a breeze on my skin? I feel the earth under my feet. Just notice what happens when you're in a place. I went out the other day and hugged a tree, and it felt wonderful. It felt very peaceful and very grounding. That's where we want to be. And that's very key for transformation, because if you're in an agitated state, you're not going to become homo luminous. You're going to be, going down a rabbit hole. You don't want to do that. We want to be as peaceful and calm and centered as we can, so that we respond rather than react. I'm sorry, I have to close that. I tried to turn off all my settings, but not happening. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully it'll stop. So we release the past, and sorry. Okay, it's one of those, somebody's trying to call me and they chose terrible timing. So anyway, we're going to release the past. No, it's not on my computer. It's just, I don't know where it's coming from. I turned off notifications. Go figure. It's just okay. Yes, we want to release the past and stop. Okay. Okay. Whatever just happened, just happened. Okay. Yes, we're recording. I'm sorry. So we're releasing the past, and we do this by staying in the present moment, and anything that's uncomfortable, again, we move to what's going to feel better. By doing this, when you're feeling calm, when you're feeling peaceful, you're feeling centered, you're uplifting. And here's the wonderful thing is that when we do this, we can connect with our inner voice, the voice for love. For me, it's the Holy Spirit. And I like to just communicate, ask. Now, people hear the voice in different ways. You may not hear a voice at all, but you ask a question and you wait for the response. So the response may not even show up for a few days or longer. It might show up in a song on the radio. It might show up in a vision or words that pop into your head, or you get a knowing, but you'll know. And it's a habit to cultivate, because if you're not used to doing it, if you're used to thinking that you have to handle everything yourself, then it's going to take a little retraining to recognize that there is a voice here that can guide you, a wonderful higher power. And when you step back and allow that higher power to guide you, and you tune in, and you know the higher power is guiding you by your feeling peaceful. That's the key. Peace is the key. And if you're feeling agitated, just move away and come back to peace. This is the path. And also feel gratitude and compassion. And for everything that's happening, there's a reason to be grateful. Even with this C virus, look at the communication that's happening, the upliftment that's happening, all the prayers that are coming together, all the groups that are coming together to uplift humanity. And then we recognize that we are not bodies, that we are much grander than our body. And that's the homo luminous part of us. This is the eternal part of us. The Course in Miracles tells us that nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So everything in our physical world is really illusion. What's real is the love that we share with each other. And as we focus on the love, as we focus on compassion, as we focus on peace, we're going to grow into being our greater selves, the homo luminous part of ourselves, as we surround ourselves with uplifting thoughts and uplifting messages. Then we uplift with our messages, we uplift with love, and we become these greater selves. So I want to take us through an exercise right now. So why don't we just take a couple of deep breaths and rotate our shoulders. So let's breathe first, inhaling through your nose, all the way down into that root chakra. Watch the breath in your body. Just feel the breath. Oh my God. Harrison, can you please call Shauna and tell her that I'm on a call?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh God. I'm on a call. You have to hang up now, guys. I can't be on now. God. Oh, where are we? Oh, I'm so glad we're recording this. My granddaughter decides she wants to. Okay, can't make this stuff up.
No, but it's all good because you know what? It shows what we go through in our day-to-day life. Interruption, right? And
Absolutely.
this is perfect in showing how you just keep coming back to peace, right?
Exactly.
So it is all in divine order.
Well, at least it wasn't during the meditation. Okay, so we're going to inhale, following the breath in our mind's eye as it goes all the way down into the root chakra where we are feeling very safe. Okay. And we're going to exhale, following the breath all the way out through the nostrils. Inhaling all the way down. Just notice what's happening in your body with this breath. And exhale all the way back out through the nostrils. Something we can do during the day to be centered and peaceful, even if we're having interruptions. Inhaling all the way down and exhaling. And now, let's take a little trip together, a beautiful journey within and without. So put your hands over your heart. Bring your awareness down underneath your hands. And feel love that's inside you. Love and compassion for you. Love and compassion for any of the stress over the past week. Love and compassion for all of your neighbors. Love and compassion for everyone in your city. Love and compassion for everyone in your state, in your country. We feel that love and compassion expanding, enveloping everyone on our planet with love, with peace, with healing. And we all join together in this, so there is magnitude in our numbers. There's power in our numbers, as we are joining together every time you watch this meditation, anytime anyone tunes into this meditation. The magnitude of the love and the peace and compassion will expand. We have great power, especially when we recognize that we are one self, one with our Creator, one with every aspect of creation. We have no limits on our power. Limitless in power, we are limitless in peace from this space. Now imagine that our spirit, which is who we are, we're not the physical bodies, it's a very small aspect of who we are. Our spirit is expanding. It has no limits, it has no boundaries. It encompasses our whole planet. It encompasses the whole solar system. It encompasses the Milky Way. It encompasses the universe. It encompasses every universe. This is who we are. Now just feel it. This is that magnificent part of you. And you can access this whenever you choose. Feel what it's like to be this big, to have no limits, to be greater than the universe, to be united with all of our brothers and sisters, no matter where they are. And we can do this whenever we want. We have tremendous power. We can unite in this power, and we become infinitely more powerful because we're all one. Fractals of a whole. One magnificent self. This self does not need healing. This self is already healed and whole. This self is powerful and beyond safe. This self has love beyond measure. So feel that love. Feel it in every cell of the physical body. Feel it in every cell of the earth. Feel it in every cell of every being on this planet. This is you. This is who you are. Pure love. There are so many blessings, so many blessings. Every time you focus on one of the blessings, you're tapping into this love. Feel the gratitude for this love that we share. Feel the gratitude for the compassion that we share. Feel the gratitude for all of the blessings, for everyone coming together. That's a huge blessing, something that's been missing. People have been coming together, but not at this magnitude. So this is a very beautiful time, a very beautiful place, if we approach it from the right perspective. And we can always ask, if we're not seeing things from a peaceful perspective, we can always ask, how can I see this differently? Show me another perspective here. I want to see this differently. And then let that perspective come. Keep your hearts open. Keep your love flowing. The greater the love that flows, the greater you will receive. And feel the love that's coming back right now. Feel it enveloping your whole being, that being that's greater than the universe. Wow, feel that love filling up your entire being, enveloping the whole universe. This is what's real. This can never be threatened. And this is who you are. That beautiful being that knows itself as pure love, as one with every one of our brothers, as one with our Creator, as one with all that is. Just hold this inside. Intensify that love. Intensify the compassion. Just feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it, intensifying. And intensifying all over our planet. How powerful you are. Powerful beyond measure. And when you're ready, come back and wiggle your fingers and your toes. And be here now, be present, and be love. So thank you, Deb. I can't hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a beautiful meditation. And it's such a reminder to help people remember who they truly are and that everything lives within them. whole universe, as you're talking about. Everything is within them, and the spaciousness of divine love and compassion and peace. And I think in this, what's going on right now on around our globe, this was a beautiful message for people to hear.
Oh, well, thank you. You know, I think it's so important that we remember that. It's very, excuse me, it's so easy to feel diminished in size, to feel powerless. We've all been there, and yet we all have tremendous power, especially when we unite on a platform like this. We're unlimited. And, you know, when I had my World Miracle Peace experiment last year, we focused on the Middle East. We weren't a large group of people, but we focused on a daily basis, 7 minutes a day to world peace. And we diminished the violence. The violence, this is by independent statistics, went down about 25% during the period of our broadcast over 6 months. Now, that means that we have tremendous power, and there's so many more people now uniting together. So we are very, very, very powerful.
We are. We are. And I'm so grateful that you're here to help pull light workers and other people into that knowingness that the power is within us to send love out to the world and heal it.
Send love out to the world and heal it. That's what it's about.
Yeah. So can you tell us how people could get in touch with you?
Yes, absolutely. You can join me on my website, marbethdunn.com, and on my Facebook group, the World Miracle Peace Experiment. We have a weekly live meditation and panel every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And you would love to have you join us there. The more love we share, the more love there is. And as we can see, love is unlimited.
Thank goodness.
As is our power.
Thank goodness. Oh gosh. Well, I am so grateful for you. And MarBeth has been part of our Enlightened World Network family. And she has been on other meditations a day that we have, and will continue to bring her light to our network. So I'm very grateful.
And I'm very grateful for you and everything that you guys are doing. You know, I know what it takes. It takes extreme dedication and perseverance, you know, to create what you're doing. And this is the perfect time. You are needed and so appreciated. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you. It's our pleasure. And so we're going to say goodbye to MarBeth, and we're going to bring on Harrison Klein now. And so we have a half hour of time with Harrison and see what he's going to lead our audience in today.
Harrison? Okay. He'll be right over.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Hello there.
Well, hi there, Harrison. Welcome to Enlightened World Network.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege and an honor to be here. All the things that you guys are doing for the world is really significant, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate in this time of crisis to have voices that are, you know, significantly important for people to feel better, look better, do better, just, you know, experience life in a better fashion than, you know, what the crisis in the media is talking about. So we have a lot of good things going on in the world right now, but we're very focused on, all the dark side. So, it takes voices of transformation, voices of light to make a difference in people's experience. So, I'm glad you're bringing together all these people and, touching so many different lives. So, beautiful thing. Thank you. Namaste.
You're very welcome. It's our pleasure. And so we are very happy to have you here with us today so that you can shine your light and bring forth the positivity and transformation that you would like to share with our audience.
All right. Well, I'm very excited about doing this because this is a situation that I think is very under knowledged in a lot of different ways. My topic today is going to be the emotional laws of success, and there are, as far as I know, this is cutting edge stuff. There's not a lot out there about this, if any. And I'm sure that there's a great need for it because it's fundamental to our experience in order to create success. So there's so much that we have to learn about ourselves and each other in the process of becoming what we call success. So I think the first thing that we have to understand is everybody has a definition of success. A couple of definitions that I like the best are, one of them is that Earl Nightingale said, success is really, the progressive realization of a worthy goal. Anybody who is, doing what they love in this world or what they like in this world and has purpose behind that is successful, whether or not they are financially rewarded by that or not, but they have a sense of success. My definition of success is a little bit different, but it's also in the same vein. Basically, I believe success is wholeness, and that when you come together, wholeness is a matter of immersion and surrender to the things that you really care about, that you really love, that you really invest your emotions and your life and your energy in. So, my proposition is the fact that I believe humans are generally emotionally and fundamentally flawed. Our emotions are hijacked very early on in life. We come through a process of, as John Lennon said, hurt you at home, hit you at school, make you crazy till you can't follow the rules and all that kind of stuff. Friends emotionally hijack us sometimes, relationships emotionally hijack us sometimes. It's very hard to be who we are in the moment. It's very hard to really just be at a space of where we feel whole and complete. And wholeness is a singularity. It's a singularity of the end of duality. We don't need to see the contrast continuously. So that we're dealing with either a positive or a negative. But when we come into wholeness, we come into the continuum, which is a whole new experience. So the continuum is a matter of what the Japanese call satori. It's a matter of coming together into a sudden enlightenment, if you will. And that's what this is all about for a day of transformation. We come together for time of enlightenment. We come together for a time of wholeness. We come together for a heart space that makes all the difference, for a love space that makes all the difference. And, personally, success, in my opinion and in my research, is something that's a matter of being emotionally whole, being emotionally stable. And the statistics are very, very clear about a lot of these things, basically. I think the World Health Organization or several other places have published the fact that 36% of the people on the planet cannot identify any emotion that they're in while it's happening. Another 58% of the people, accounts for the fact that when they're emotionally stable, they are that much better in their performance. A 58% improvement in performance, the more emotionally stable you are. That is, the more you're involved with that. And then a third statistic that I wanted to quote is that the average person who is emotionally stable doing the same job as someone who is not generally makes about $29,000 a year more than somebody of low emotional control. So the emotional laws of success are very significant in life. We have a number of different areas that we have to focus on. So let's talk about them and break this down a little bit, because emotional, enhancers are a matter of, transformation. The more we can, in fact, everything we do really stems from about 5 different emotions. It stems from either happiness, stems from anger, stems from guilt, stems from shame, stems from fear. So those emotions are the root of everybody's experience, and we're really in one or one of those of the 5 at any given time. And emotions serve a purpose, So when we want to go through experience, emotions serve a purpose. They're in fact a very important purpose, because they let us know who we are and what we're feeling. There are 2 fundamental questions on this planet that are definitely indigenous and significant to our ability to achieve and to be anything that we want. The first is, who am I? And the second is, what am I feeling right now? Both are emotional questions. The question of who am I is an emotional question, and what am I feeling right now is really important. So transformation takes a turn by what happens in our understanding and what happens by how we generate emotions around who we are and what we experience. There are a lot of things that we experience in the process of our growth, and mostly because our emotions are hijacked from the time we're young, from our parents, from our teachers, from the media, from our friends, from our relationships. We get thrown off of our ability to experience things. Babies, as they experience things, are free emotionally. So what goes through them shows up immediately in their connection to the moment. And, they express themselves fully. And what we notice about that is, as we are free emotionally, is that once it goes through you, very shortly thereafter, you're back and recalibrated to a steady state of being, a steady state of wellness. Part of what I do is I help people get into this state of steady well-being continuously. So, when I work with people, I work from the quantum field. I work from the place of, what is the emergence of how things happen. So we're all in a place of quantum, essentially, which is really the study of subatomic physics. And subatomic physics is really the study, if you come down to it, what is beneath the physical plane. Subatomic physics is the behavior of spirit. And what we know about that is that um, the first and best way to make our own way in the world is to know how things work, to know how things emotionally, show up in the world. So the first step to understanding and being of effectiveness in this world is to find out, number one, how things emerge, where things come from, and then how we, experience ourselves from that place. So it's the first step to knowing how to make our way in the world. The second step to knowing how to make our way in the world, or the first thing that comes up once we begin to understand that, is the fact that we have that the emotions, the thoughts and images of our mind, which are basically energy and motion. Emotions mean energy and motion, but the thoughts and images of our mind are the instructions to the universe to create our reality. So if we understand how all that works, we have to then become deliberate about what we put into our minds, the images and the thoughts. Understand that emotions, again, are energy in motion, and they are the response, they're the physical response of our body to our thoughts. And our thoughts are whatever we evaluate out in the world and what we have come together with as our past. So in memory, we have 5 faculties of mind. So there are laws that make a difference in the way we experience things. And if we are cognizant of those laws, which I'm going to give you 4 of, I'm going to give you an example of 4 of them, which are the fundamental laws of success in emotions, we become so much better at what we do. We have better experiences with other people. We have better experiences with ourselves. We're in an emotional state of well-being. We're strong. We're dynamic. We're funny. We're joyous. We're, just we're everything that we want to be because we get to choose our own experience. So the first and most fundamental law of success in every single way is to observe ourselves. So the first one is to observe yourself. Know who you are. Know what you're thinking. Monitor your thoughts. Monitor your actions. Many people are impulsive about things and they don't really take note of their impulses. They have emotional states that are eruptive, that are volatile, that are strange, and then they allow some of the darkest things to come into their minds from thoughts of judgment and other things like that, and know very clearly that the end of judgment is the beginning of love. So when we are in love, and love in the grander sense and in the personal sense, basically we are effective at whatever we do because that is the harmonious vibration of the universe. So the first thing is to be able to observe yourself, and observing yourself means monitoring your thoughts. It means looking at the stream of consciousness that's going through your head, the talk that's coming into your mind, the feelings of your physical body, the observations of what's your reaction to things out there. And as you come into that space of becoming to observe yourself, you become self-aware, and then self-aware is the beginning of self-realization, meaning that you can achieve the self you want, to realize the deep self. The deep self is always incredible in every way, so it's bigger than anything we can imagine. The entire universe is contained within us, not out there. There's no out there, there's only in here. And as we begin to understand the fact that there's only in here, we understand that we are the universe. The universe is in us. We're not out there. We're not out there. So there's no out there. So we're all just one being with many different masks, talking to itself, having fun, and amusing ourselves. So, some people play roles of dark things. Some people play roles in light things. Some people play roles in whatever it is that they choose. Some people are musicians, engineers, doctors, lawyers, waitresses, whatever the fact may be. But we all play a role for the purpose of experiencing some form of emotional stability. And we don't know what that is sometimes, but the more self-aware we become, the more we get to choose that role significantly and deliberately. So being self-aware and observing ourselves is the number one first law of being, connected to our emotional stability. So when we can see what we experience as an emotion in any given moment, we can change it. We can do whatever we want to do with it. So it's really important that you can't change anything that you haven't loved. So you have to love yourself in that particular place. You have to love the fact that you are experiencing something that is, your place on this planet as a beingness, not just as a doingness. So there's a difference. So as you observe yourself, you are in the state of being and not in the state of doing necessarily. That's a big thing. Second law of emotional success is the ability to control yourself. So being able to control yourself really is, it's about being deliberate. It's about being deliberate in what you do and who you are and how you express yourself. It's about staying away from stagnation, about not allowing yourself to be bored, not allowing yourself to be depressed, not allowing yourself to fall into despair. You know, the most successful people on the planet stand guard at the gates of their minds and not allow negativity in to bring them down. And the worst kinds of things that come are sort of the dark things that are in your external world, because in our natural world, we're happiness. When we have no other outside influences, we are definitely in a state of regular happiness. Although many of us have been, I guess, hijacked out of that state because of all the emotions that have come in that we've interpreted from other people. So as we get more deliberate, we become much more significant in our effectiveness, because now we know what we're doing, why we're doing it. So here are some things that help our deliberateness. You know, one of them is to, you know, to laugh and smile more. So as we become more smiley, as we become more deliberate, we control our self-talk. The more we laugh, the more we're able to control our self-talk, because we flood our bodies with positive emotions. So all these things that are called, you know, kind of neurotransmitters, you know, endorphins, oxytocin, dopamine, all these other things that help us basically to cope with things, are really the flooding of our bodies with positive emotions. And emotions flow from thoughts. So one of the ways we have negative and we have positive experiences from our emotions. So one of the things I wanted to give a story about is the fact that I had a heart attack about 4 years ago, I guess, or maybe 5 years ago. And I was in I had quadruple bypass surgery. And it was a heart attack one afternoon. I was walking in a grocery store, which is next to not being now. But I was walking in a grocery store and I suddenly got this incredible heat in my body, and it just permeated me so intensely. The heat was so, I wanted to tear off my clothes. I couldn't do anything. I was just so full of inflamed heat. And I didn't know what to do. I checked to see if I was having a heart attack, because my knowledge of heart attacks was the fact that you get a radiation from your body across your left arm, and you know, you feel a deep kind of pressure on your chest. I didn't have those things, but this heat was unbearable. So I went to the emergency room, I guess, with a lot of prodding from my from my friends and my relatives, because I called somebody and I said, I'm having this experience. And somebody said, go to the emergency room immediately. And I said, no, I have a class to teach. I will do that afterwards. And they said, no, get your ass to the emergency room right this instant. So given that, I called one of my students who was a medical doctor, and I said, I'm having this incredible heat. I don't even know what's going on. It's blowing my mind, because I've never felt anything like this. He said, get your ass to the emergency room. So I did. I didn't call 911. I got in my car and I drove myself. So when I got there, they went through and they told me I was having a heart attack. And within a short amount of time afterwards, a surgeon came in, a doctor came in, and he said, we need to operate on you immediately. The x-rays show that your arteries are shriveled down to the gnarled image of like broken and completely gnarled branches. And he said, you're not going to let that blood isn't going to be able to flow through to your heart very, very quickly. We need to do that immediately. So I said, give me a night to prepare. And he said, okay, I'll give you the night to prepare. We can do this in the morning. So in the night, I reframed the experience to myself. Millions of people have gone through this thing. I'm in control of my emotions. I have been for many, many years. I don't have to see this as a negative thing. I can see it as a positive thing. So I decided that this would be a positive experience, not only for me, but everybody around me. And that the other side of that would be extended energy. The other side of that would be greater happiness. And the other side of that would be that I have influence on other people. And those were emotional decisions. They were strongly emotional decisions. Interestingly, when they performed the surgery, um, during the operation, um, they took my heart out of my body and they put it on a resuscitator. And so sometimes they do that and then they put it back in at a certain point. And during that time, when they took my heart out, my astral body or my light body came off of my physical body. And suddenly I was in the company, I was looking down at myself on the surgical table with all the doctors around me and celestial beings with us in a burst of light began to speak to me. And they spoke to me and they said, well, you can transition out now and this will be an extremely wonderful experience for you. You have a choice though. Do you want to go back? And I said, yes, my purpose and my things that I want to address are not done here. So I need to go back. I'm in love with this woman, MarBeth. And I said, I'm here for her and I want to support support her and all that she wants to do and be and become and everything else. And I want to definitely do that in a significant way. So they said, okay, you can go back. And my body, my spirit came back into my body at that particular point. So when I came out of the surgery, I was, had been in surgery for a number of hours. And when I was on the gurney, as I began to come back to consciousness, I was surrounded by doctors and nurses, probably 6 or 7 of them around my gurney as I came to consciousness. And they said, how are you? And I said, wonderful, terrific, amazing, phenomenal, outstanding, incredible, awesome, turned on, tuned up, tweaked, authentic, respondent, inspired, and opulent. And they looked at each other and they said, we've got something different here. I don't know what it is, but it's different. So during that period then, I never once, and I want to make this very clear to the people who are listening and seeing this broadcast, that I never once experienced one iota of pain except at the moment of my heart attack. I never experienced it afterwards. I didn't go into depression. I didn't go into despair. I didn't go into how badly, this made me feel. The fact that they ripped open my chest, the fact that, there were so many different stitches and that it would take a couple of months to recover from this. Never once did I have one moment of despair or depression. In fact, I stayed happy and wonderful the whole time throughout my recovery and throughout the subsequent recovery. So life was good and I saw it as good. So this is an emotional part of things. I controlled my emotion to be in a positive state. And that's very easy to do for me. For a lot of people, it's very difficult. But if you want to accept responsibility for who you are, one of the things you must do is learn to control your emotions. So you can do that through visualization. You can do that through understanding that your focus needs to be on your freedom, never on your limitations. So when you focus on your limitations, you fall back into a negative spiral. You don't have effectiveness in what you do because you're pulled back and forth. You walk into a war with yourself. When you focus on the negative, you walk into a war with yourself because your natural state is actually happiness. So as you come into a war with yourself, the only way to come out of that war is to remove judgment on what you're feeling and what you are and what you see. So which means that whatever you're experiencing as emotion, you're going to say that's okay. It doesn't mean you have to act on it. If you have hate, all emotions are okay. It doesn't matter what they are. No matter how intense they are, they're okay. It's okay to feel them. Don't deny what you feel. But, the thing is not to always act on the negative parts of your emotions. Don't act on the things that are hateful or the things that are vengeful, but it's okay to have those feelings if you're in a situation whereby, that comes up for you dramatically. There's no, emotions are there to teach you something important. That's what they're there for. They wouldn't be in your body if they weren't there to teach you something important. So be cognizant of you know, who you are, what you're experiencing, observing yourself, and then how to manage that. So we can easily change our emotional states from one thing to another in an instant, just like that. How? Simply do it. I can't even tell you how. One minute, you know, you're laughing, the next minute you're crying. You know, one minute somebody says something dark, and the next minute you, just like a child, you go back into your happiness and your laughter. You're able to do that. You're able to generate what you want as long as you're deliberate and you're conscious. So consciousness is about observing and being and controlling in your own physical environment. So as you learn to focus on your freedoms rather than your limitations, you expand yourself out into the world. And again, you experience more of the universe, you experience more of love, you experience more of joy, you experience more of relationships with other people in the most dramatically wonderful ways. So that's the second law. The third law of being emotionally successful is the ability to observe others. So, you know, most of us, we look at other people, but we look at them very superficially. We actually see them basically two-dimensionally, and then we do that with a impulsive evaluation of what's going on in the moment. But the more we're able to actually look, to separate our observation, our looking into our observation, to look deeply at what's happening, seeing their body language, seeing, you know, their conversational tools, noticing, listening deeply to what they have to say, so that, you know, we understand not only what they're saying, the words, but also the emotions. And by the way, the higher you get in your consciousness and the more emotional understanding you have, the more you can tell when somebody's lying or somebody's saying something that's very incongruent with what they are. This is really good in sales situations, as well as people when they confront you. So one of the ways to become more and more observant of others is to really practice this listening, practice this observing, step into another story. You know, that's a big part of being conscious, being love, and being in emotional control. See things from their perspective. See the whole picture, not just the the physiology of their moods, or the expressions of their moods, but see what their entire being is telling you, because it's always telling you something. When we come into relationship with other people, we don't always catch their moods. We look at what they have to say, or we look at what they're doing. And you know, we make our judgments or our thoughts from that perspective. But if we look deeply into what they're feeling, we become much more connected to them. And we call that, and you know, like MarBeth is an empath. She sees other and feels other people's feelings. As you become more empathic, you know, you have more connection with other people. You feel what they feel. You understand what they say, and you know that resonates and transmits both telepathically and physically to other people. When you can experience or look at what another person is feeling in their mood, you know, they connect because they realize that you are a kindred spirit at that moment. And we're all kindred spirits with each other. There are no real separations. There's only, you know, the idea of separation, really, which we do because we want more control than we actually have at a given moment. But you know, it's really important to understand that as you observe others, as you listen to others, the more deeply you go with them, the more connection you have. And then you become a leader when you are able to become empathic with other people. You are able to lead them because they trust you. It opens up trust. That's a major law of success. So you emotionally open up the law of, you know, observing others, so that, you know, that trust is built between you and them. It's a great strategy for growth. It's a great strategy for financial remuneration. It's a great strategy for you know, leading other people. So that's the third law. The fourth law is the law of relationship communication. So relationship communication, and that is, you know, where we become vulnerable. And to become vulnerable, you have to be in control of your emotions, because many of us, I don't say most, but I say many of us, hide a great deal of who we are. We're afraid of our emotions. They're too intense for us, or they're too weird for us. And so we become hiders of those emotions. And when we pack those emotions away and we hide them, we actually hurt ourselves because we lose touch with what's going through our body, and we don't allow our bodies to process what's happening. So when you communicate with people in a significant way, what happens is that you open yourself up to allow your emotions to be real. And people are very, very strong about authenticity. The more authentic you are, the more they relate to you. And guess what? The more they love you unjudgmentally, which is really a very important thing. So how do you get much better at relationship communication, at the emotional expression of who you are and expression of other people and in relationship? Well, one, you tell the truth. Now, when I was dating for a long time, especially in my early life, I was always trying to impress people. So I was much more involved in telling them lies about who I was. And I would pretend success when I didn't have it. I would pretend this or that, whether I had it or not, and it, sometimes worked, it sometimes didn't, but people who it worked with, when I was telling them lies, were gullible to that extent and probably were of the same ilk. They were probably telling relationship lies too. But as I got closer to people I loved, and the more I began to really appreciate other people, I began to tell the truth no matter whether it was embarrassing or not. So I told people my secrets, my hidden agendas. I told people what, things I were not proud of at different times in my life. And other things like that. I told them what it was that made the difference in my life. And in my relationship with MarBeth, the very first day that I met her, I said to myself, I'm never going to lie to this woman. And there's nothing that I ever going to do that's going to make a difference where I come off of the truth. So that started the whole love process. So some other strategies that you have when you come into a relationship with other people and you come into the communication of your emotions in relationship. So one of the great things you can do, great strategies to help relationships communication, is to compliment other people. MarBeth is a master at complimenting other people. She's great at it. In fact, a lot of my well-being comes from her complimenting me. I'm only kidding. It has something to do with it, but it's not all of it. There are lots of other things to do. You can show that you care about other people. That's a great communication. When you show people that you care, that is, you get them an extra coffee, or you say very nice things to them, or you buy them unexpected things, or you support them in places they didn't expect to be supported. You show up at one of their telebroadcasts like this. You come into the place of where you explain your decisions in life, and as you explain your decisions in life, that brings on clarity. Clarity is a very powerful success tool, probably one of the most, if not the most. So we tackle our connections through conversation. That's how we do things. And we have to tackle tough conversations in order to be successful. So the best way to tackle tough conversations is to be vulnerable, to tell the truth about what you're thinking and feeling at a given point. That doesn't mean, that doesn't mean coming down on somebody if you're mad at them and saying dark and negative and ugly things. It means basically being diplomatic about what's going on. So, the necessity for feeling comfortable, and sometimes there's unnecessary confrontation that happens with people, and we have to get to the place of where we have to deal with that. So as we become more in control of our emotions, and we display poise and calm and things of that nature, we have greater connection with the ability to be successful, because people know you're there to help, not that you're there to take. So as you do that, you come into a better place. So the last thing I want to say is basically, and I know we're running short on time, that I wanted to tell people to remember to expect success, not perfection. So when you come into the place of, things that you want to mantra yourself around, expect success and not perfection. And as you allow yourself the leniency to feel what you want, what you feel, and instead of battling with it, just let it go through your system. And in so doing, you come into a state of well-being because it's there to teach you something important. And when you're able to do that, you experience success. So that's kind of my stuff for today. I was going to say shit for today, but that's where we are. So that's my stuff for today. I appreciate being here. I appreciate all of you out there. I love you. I care for you. I hope we get a chance to either virtually hug during this particular time, and when this is all over, I'd love to physically hug all of you. I mean, I'm a hugger, not a shaker. Although I'm a mover and a shaker, and I take my martinis shaken, not stirred. So all of you there, thank you very much for having me on here. It's been a wonderful experience to be with you, and I give you kisses into the future. Kisses into the future. Stay safe and warm and deliberate. Be emotionally stable. You'll experience bigger and better continuous success. Thank you.
Harrison, that was absolutely wonderful.
Well,
It was
thank you.
like a seminar of all the things of how to deal with being a spirit in a body and what you're here to do, right?
Yeah.
Is that, taking emotional control. I love it.
Yeah, it's the essence of being able to be effective in any situation, because we're torn by our emotions because of our judgments. I mean, we're naturally given to negative judgments around things because that's in our evolution. It was a protective mechanism to keep ourselves alive and to be in survival. But as we developed a frontal cortex, we began to be able to think and evaluate in different ways rather than the amygdala of fight or flight. So as we began to develop that frontal cortex, we began to see that there were better strategies than fight or flight, that we could, in point of fact, refrain from saying things or doing things at certain times, which then gave us power, because the power to delay some things often is the power to overcome them. And so, life is an exercise in that process. So good things happen when you are able to control yourself. And the most successful people on the planet, we have a couple people that are successful that don't do that, but you guys know who I'm talking about without saying anything. And but the most successful people on the planet, the CEOs, the billionaires, a lot of the great people, they all have emotional control. The most successful athletes, the most successful mentors, the most successful scientists, the most successful authors, they're students of emotional control. And when you come into the this space of your control, and when I say control, I don't mean gritting down and bearing down on stuff. It means just making a decision about what you want to feel at any given point. So I want to feel better. I want to reach for a better thought. I want to look better. I want to, I want to appreciate this other person. I want to, see what's positive in this situation. And we generate our own emotions. It's not that they come to us from outside. Like low consciousness people think the emotions happen because of a situation. Consciousness people know they come from what you generate yourself in the process. So that comes from self-talk, that comes from your observation and your desire to be connected. So use those tools. They're really dramatically wonderful in every way. How are we doing?
We're doing good. How can people get in touch with you, Harrison?
I have, lots of different websites and lots of different tools and lots of things that I do, but I think my branding page will give you an idea of some of the things that I've done. That resides at IAM, Harrison Klein, international.com. I'm international because, I couldn't find a domain that was shorter. but I am Harrison Klein International.com. And that's a branding page. Then I have the I Am Effect 2.0. I have, Rockstar Your Life. I have a whole bunch of other things like that. If you want an inexpensive program to deal with some of these things, you could go to Rockstar Your Life. It's a wonderful thing, and you can catch up with emotional control at less than the cost of a latte a day. And that's fun for me. That was a really fun program to put together. So I'm looking forward to connecting with everybody, and you can get in touch with me, through Deb if you want to, or through, through MarBeth, or through any of my, thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that I've helped over this period of my life. So, I hope to, share a meal with as many of you as possible when this is all over. And I'm a good eater, so if you want to invite me, I'm available.
Well, we look forward to having you again sometime in the future, and we're so grateful for all of the light that you brought for everybody today.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you. Whoever is looking, I appreciate you for inviting me. I appreciate everybody who's shown up and sees this thing, and I appreciate the world as it is. And one of the great things about appreciating the world as it is that you begin to understand your place in it, and when you understand your place in it, you are in emotional control. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Again, namaste, wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles, live on, love on, laugh on. And laughter is the happiest of my fun things. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.